Good morning friends, welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So guys, here we are about to start the session. So I will be providing the PDF. Just give me a minute. PDF will be available to you on our Telegram group. So we are about to start. The PDF for today's session will be uploaded. Just give me a minute. Are you guys facing any connectivity related issue? Okay. So I guess now we will have streamlined session. So here welcome everyone, Vicky, Mohit, Kaveri, Ajay, Mahi, Anusri, Nisar, Inayat, Yamandeep, good morning everyone. So let's start. Let's see what exactly is there for us in today's newspaper. As you can see this quotation on the screen, democracy is the destiny of humanity, freedom its indestructible arm. Okay, so Benito Juarez, the Mexican politician, he's coming out with this argument that democracy is the destiny of humanity. See, whenever we talk about democracy, it is considered as the legitimate form of government. Okay, why I'm saying that legitimate? First thing is that people, they are going to decide who will be providing governance, who will be their leader. Okay, and this is how, in this way, people are going to give sanctity, permission, that this person will have the power to govern us. So in this way, it is the legitimate form of government. Now, democracy is not just about the government. It has many, you can say, value aspects attached to it. So you have equality, you have freedom, okay, you have public participation, you have accountability, you have transparency, you have responsible government, you have good governance. All these are part of the democratic setup in which we are living in. And it is saying that, okay, fine, democracy is the destiny of the humanity. Why it is stating that? Because at the end of the day, you have to understand the human nature. So it is said that human is born free. We are born free. Okay. Whatever developments that we have carried out, those developments have been carried out primarily to enhance our capabilities. And by enhancing our capabilities, we are trying to explore the freedom. You want to liberate yourself. You want to liberate yourself. That's why you are working on improving or enhancing your abilities. That's why democracy, which facilitates the liberty of individual, which facilitates enhancement of capacity of individual, opportunities for individual, is the destiny of humanity. And in that, freedom is the indestructible arm, because without freedom, liberty is not possible. Okay, and as I told you, human being is by nature free. Human being is born free. We 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 want liberty, we want to enhance our capabilities. So in this way, if freedom is not provided to us, we will not be able to reach to our true self, we will not be able to enhance our capability, and in this way we will not be able to enjoy democracy. This is what this quotation is focusing upon, that fine, democracy is the destiny of the humanity. Look at how democracy is spreading in the world. Okay, over the last 50-60 years, if you see, democracy has spread a lot. There are many more countries which are having the democratic setup. No other form of government is that you can say effective as democracy. Yes, democracy has some problems, some issues, but that doesn't mean that you replace it with any other alternative. And other point is this: is there any other better alternative available to you other than democracy, which talks about welfare, which talks about freedom, which talks about liberty, equality, okay, fraternity, justice? Is there any other arm of or the form of government which is there which can provide all these things to you? Certainly not. Democracy is about the people, for the people, by the people, of the people. Okay, this is how things are. So we need to understand this aspect here. Now there is another important development that is taking place. So three-way context in the offing of president's post in Sri Lanka. Okay, so nation is set to get a new leader today, and this is how things will turn up. See, you have to understand one thing: democracy has its inner strength as well. Okay, and we need to understand one thing: what this democracy means about, and why I am saying this, that it is the most, you can say, legitimate form of the government. As you can see on the screen, first of all, it's about the control by the people. Individuals are not controlling, people are controlling themselves. They are authorizing some individuals to provide governance. This is how the government is formed. Okay, there is political equality, means one person, one vote. That's the political equality which is existing. Within the democratic setup, you have fundamental rights that are there. Now these fundamental rights are, you can say, they are there to check the government. Okay, that government should not turn authoritarian, government should not turn despotic, कि despotic ना बन जाए, authoritarian ना बन जाए. Fundamental rights are there. There are other checks and balances that are maintained within the system. Everything is mentioned in your constitution regarding the balance of power between three organs of your government: judiciary, legislature, and executive. Okay, you have an elected government, means people are going to decide their fate. It's a representative government. Different sections of the society, they will have the representation, and that representation is very important. Even if we want to bring social change, that representation part is really very important. Okay, so that's the angle. Then participatory engagement, people are participating in the governance activity. You have civil society that is coming up. Okay, whatever bill the government is coming up with, they will ask for comments. In this way we also participate in that. Okay, impartial administration is there, means everyone is treated equally by the government. It doesn't depend upon your economic status or any other thing. Okay, आप पुलिस स्टेशन जाते हो, FIR रजिस्टर कराते हो. Poor man can also register an FIR, and young man, you can say a rich man can also register an FIR. So impartial administration is there. Okay, uh, but predictable enforcement, in the sense things will be predefined. Everything will be done as per rule of the law. Okay, rule of the law hai, it adds predictability. If there is a crisis, you can predict that government is going to help you out. Government आपको help करेगी, आप पहले से ही ये prediction कर सकते हो. So we have these ideas in our mind regarding democracy. Then elections are there. Okay, local democracy, in the sense that grassroots level democracy. Okay, grassroots level participation of the people. I'm talking about panchayats. Electoral participation is there, civil society participation is there, media is also one of the major player here. Okay, so media is considered as the fourth pillar of democracy. All these things are existing. There is judicial independence. This is how checks and balances are maintained. Civil liberties are provided. Social rights and equalities are assured. This is what democracy is about. And democracy has this internal strength to provide solutions to the problems. Okay, if there are problems in the democracy, if there are problems in democracy, so the solution to those problems is this: more democratization. थोड़ी भी प्रॉब्लम होगी तो और ज़्यादा डेमोक्रेटाइज कीजिए उसे. ओके, देन यू विल गेट द clarity and a clear solution to that. This is what you have to understand. Okay, this is what you have to understand. Other than that, here there is nothing much. Okay, so now this is the news that we will be looking into. DSP crushed to death at mining site in Haryana. See, this is what you need to understand one thing. Sand mining, illegal sand mining is going on, okay, across the country. It is not just Haryana. Earlier there was a case in Rajasthan where an IPS officer was killed in this way. Okay, so here a truck moved down a DSP, and this is how your administration has woken up. But I am asking this the question, this illegal sand mining is going on. Is it possible to carry out that illegal sand mining without the, you can say, indulgence of administration? We can understand one thing. This is the problem primarily because of the poor governance. Okay. So you have to improve governance. You have to deal with corruption. कितने ट्रक्स पास होते हैं इलीगल सैंड लेके जाते हैं जो. So here these things have happened, and this thing should be stopped at all. Then only we can, you can say, deal with these type of issues. तो ये चीज़ थोड़ा हमें ध्यान रखना है, otherwise it's a really disheartening thing. Okay, an officer losing his life because of these things. So right now government will do multiple, government will take multiple steps. Okay, Haryana government have already issued the statement that justice will be done. I am saying that how, like, without, you can say, uh, without uh, taking action against those corrupt officials, how can you facilitate justice? Justice कैसे facilitate करोगे जब तक corrupt officials के against action नहीं लोगे? Okay, so this is what you have to understand. ये सारी चीज़ें थोड़ी समझनी है यहाँ पे. Okay, this is what it was. So we'll move to the next. Next is again editorial we will be touching upon. So let's directly move to the editorial part here. Okay, so here we have these editorials, and this is a sad thing that has happened. Okay, chaliye. So Chile marks a notch in the global constitutionalism. Okay, so Chile has come out with the new constitution, and this is how things are. Okay, so in India as well, earlier there was a debate, do we need new constitution? Do we need new constitution? Okay, that debate was because people used to say that, okay, we carried out more than 120 or 123 amendments, so these much amendments have been done. It means that there is some problem with the constitution. Otherwise, in the coming time as well, in the future as well, you have to, you can say, continue with the amendments. So one suggestion was that instead of again going for amendments again and again, you just try to analyze whether constitution needs to be reformed or new constitution needs to be placed or not. Now I would like to tell you this thing. For that, National Commission for Review of Working Constitution was formed. Okay, this particular commission was already formed, and that commission came out with the recommendation that we don't need new constitution. Okay, they also came out with the recommendation. So one thing is for sure, we cannot go beyond that, whatever their suggestion was. Now the point here is this. Yes, you are partially right, Anusri. She is saying that there is no provision for full revision of constitution. Yes, because today how will you form the constituent assembly? Constituent assembly कैसे form करोगे? That's the thing. Okay, so this was the debate. Now here, Chilean constitution, Chile has faced multiple issues. Okay, so there was a time where Chile was dealing with inequality within the, you can say, country, and the inequality was at its peak. Later on, we observed protests by the people. There were major protests by the people, and those protests led to the formation of new constitution, a new system. Okay, so this is how this debate has erupted. Now the point is this: Chile's constitution embodied what is popularly known as Chicago school economics. Okay, so the old constitution that was there, old constitution mentioned about market deregulation. So in India, our constitution doesn't mention that we have to deregulate market or not. That's the government prerogative. They take the decision. But in Chile, their constitution is guiding the government that we have to go for market deregulation. Okay, their old constitution. And the point is this: they carried out that constitution, that particular thing, even including things like privatization of water. Okay, and all these development led to inequality in the Chilean society. तो मेजर इनइक्वालिटी होगी उनकी सोसाइटी के अंदर, एंड देन देयर वर प्रोटेस्ट, एंड देन द प्रोसेस ऑफ कमिंग आउट विद न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन स्टार्टेड. ओके, वहां से मामला शुरू हुआ है. So one of the demand for the Chilean protesters was to replace this constitution with a democratic constitution. Okay, written by the people of Chile, written by the representatives of people of Chile. Chilean government agreed to that. Later on, directly elected constituent assembly was formed. Directly elected constituent assembly was formed. Now you talk about Indian constitution. Okay, I am asking this thing to you. Indian constitution was framed by the constituent assembly. So I am asking this thing, was it directly elected by the people? What do you say? Indian Constituent Assembly, was it directly elected by the people? The representatives who were there, were they elected by the people? No. So Indian Constituent Assembly was indirectly formed. Okay, so we need to know these things. It was an indirect election. We need to know these things. Now, the Constituent Assembly that has formed the Indian Constitution, it was indirectly elected. So, what do you say? In present time, we can also form that Constituent Assembly? If we want to review the Constitution, what do you want? The present Constituent Assembly should be reformed with the elected representatives. This is the point here. And in that indirect election, there were representations from the monarchies. वहाँ पे कुछ राजा थे, and they sent their representatives. Okay, nominated members. Some of them were nominated members from the princely states. Definitely, like those nominated members, they will suggest things for, you can say, benefit of the prince, benefit of the kings. They will not talk about the local people because they were not elected, they were nominated. So these type of things, these type of debates are there, and that's why this question is this: whether we should also form this new you can say elected constituent assembly. Now you need to understand here, things have to be understood in the vision of constitutionalism. Now this constitutionalism is really very important term. Okay, this constitutionalism will assure whether values aligned in the constitution, they are implemented or not. Those values like checks and balances, facilitation of equality, facilitation of welfare state, okay, pro people governance, checks and balances on the government to curb the authoritarian tendencies. Your government can become despotic, authoritarian, dictatorship, etc., etc., etc. Okay, people are at the base of your governance, that everything have to be done in such a way that it should benefit the people of a country. This is the value that was enshrined in the constitutionalism. Constitutionalism will talk about accountability. It will talk about transparency. It will talk about responsiveness. It will talk about responsible government. Okay, responsible government. All these things will be incorporated into the constitutionalism. Now there is interesting debate. So you tell me one thing. Our constitution was formed after 1947, or it was accepted in 1950. The point is this: can we say that even prior to constitution, the values of constitutionalism were existing? Can we say that? can we say that even the constitution came later, but values were existing even prior to that? Can you say that? We had kings like Ashoka, who talked about welfare of the people. We had kings like Akbar, who talked about welfare of the people. Okay, so these things were existing. Constitution might have been incorporated later, बाद में बनाया होगा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, लेकिन ये वैल्यूज पहले से ही एग्जिस्ट कर रही थी. ये वैल्यूज पहले से ही एग्जिस्ट कर रही थी. So this is what you have to understand. Okay, and here in the Chilean constitution, they want to make sure that social equality should be facilitated within the constitution. That people, their socio-economic rights, those rights should be very well protected by the constitution. This is what Chile is now trying to do. They want to focus upon different requirements of individuals: housing, education, health, many other things, and all these things are incorporated in their constitution. We recognize that governance is very complex. Okay, legislature, executive, judiciary, their role have to be defined. Their role have to be defined. There are many institutions, those should be in existence. Commissions, Human Rights Commission, Election Commission, UPSC, they are primarily there to facilitate the governance. These are the expert bodies. These are the integrity institutions that are existing. These are integrity institutions. As these institutions are existing to provide integrity within the government governance. आपके गवर्नेंस के अंदर इंटीग्रिटी का होना बहुत जरूरी है. Your bureaucracy should have that integrity. Okay, your bureaucracy should have the integrity, and all these things have been facilitated by your constitution. This is what it is mentioning here. Now, we have to make sure that these institutions that are there, they should be powerful enough. If these institutions are powerless, they will be of no use. They will not be able to make any difference in the governance activity. We have to make sure these things. Okay, so the present Chilean constitution, they had some specific, you can say, components which facilitates socio-economic rights such as right to education, workers' right, gender identity right, documentation or decommodification of water. Okay, this is what their constitution is saying right now. Their constitution is imposing these things. So these existence of autonomous institutions independent of the government, guarantee of the citizen initiative, including indigenous initiatives, all these things are mentioned in their constitution. So right now the constitution that they have come out with is considered to be more inclusive. Because look at the composition of the Constituent Assembly. So the Constituent Assembly that has been formed, 51% of them are women. 51% of them are women. There are reserved seats for the indigenous people, means tribal. So in this way, the Constituent Assembly was itself inclusive. Now the point is this: in India's case, can we say our Constituent Assembly, it was inclusive? Was your Constituent Assembly inclusive? No. There were no provision of reservation by that time. There were no provision for, you can say, special arrangements for women. It wasn't there. How many women representatives were there in your Constituent Assembly? Very few. Okay, very few. So we need to understand these things here. ये थोड़ी सी चीजें ध्यान रखनी है, ठीक है ना? We have to understand these particular developments. Okay, so this was really crucial. This was really crucial. We have to understand these things here. थोड़ा बहुत इन चीजों को समझना जरूरी है. Okay, now their particular constitution acknowledges the issues like climate change, and their constitution is dictating them that okay, you have to fight against climate change, you have to make effort to deal with climate change. Their constitution is sending this instruction to them. So this is how things are done, and you can see that the Chilean constitution can be a guiding document for India as well. So if we want to fight climate change, Indian constitution can also make specific provision within the constitution. Okay, ये सब हम कर सकते हैं, ठीक है ना. This is how things are. So we'll move to the next editorial. Next editorial is talking about a new bill that has been introduced. Now this new bill is talking about giving more powers to Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, and this bill is also talking about permission of construction near the archaeological site. Okay, near the archaeological site. Now you need to understand one thing. There are few things that are mentioned here. Okay, so the idea is about section 20 of the Ancient Monument and Archaeological Sites Remains Act. Okay, so they are talking about revising this particular legal arrangement, this particular bill. So this bill will be brought in, and it is asking that it will provide more teeth to the Archaeological Survey of India. That was the point. Now this particular Ancient Monuments, Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958, it was amended in 2010, prohibits construction within the 100-meter radius of this particular monument. Okay, and regulates the activities within 300-meter radius. This is the provision that is existing at present. Now the new bill is trying to do away with these provisions. The new bill is going to facilitate an expert body which will decide whether construction should be allowed or not, or whether this activity should be carried out near the monument or not. Earlier, your law directly prohibits certain things, but this new provision is going to facilitate an expert body. Now, the point that they are coming out with this, in this way, this expert body may give permission to carry out construction near the monument. ऐसा हो सकता है ना. Right now, near the 100-meter radius, the construction is not allowed. But after formation of this particular, you can say commission, it will allow, or it may allow construction near the site itself. This is what is all about. Now the point is this: if we allow construction near the particular sites, it can cause damage to the already vulnerable structure that we have. Okay, the structure can be damaged, the essence of that particular area can be damaged. So whenever we talk about a monument site, so you have this rock cut sanctuaries near Barabar, Bihar, Ajanta, Maharashtra, Masroor in Himachal Pradesh, Ghantapalli in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so this is important for your prelims. And then you have something called Pattadakal temples, Karnataka. Now these temple complex was basically constructed by Chalukyas. Okay, so we need to know these things. Chalukyas of Badami. So they constructed this, and way back in the 6th 7th century. So it is that old structure. It means that it is already vulnerable. Okay, काफी vulnerable है, बहुत पुराना है. So if you are allowing a construction activity near a particular site, it can cause damage to the existing structure. That's bit, you can say, problematic here. Okay, that's bit problematic. And other aspect is that if you allow construction near any archaeological site, it may change the nature. Okay, it may change the nature of that site. That is what should not be done. The authenticity, the reality, those things should be very well maintained. Okay, this is the point. This is the point. So permitting the construction work, it will risk the weakening foundation of centuries old edifices. Okay, they are already weak. You are going to risk all these things. So we have to be very calculated about these developments that are going to take place. Okay, so what is this editorial was about? So we'll move to the next one. आगे चलते हैं. So again, in the next one, there is you can say government is also coming out with the new bill, the new drugs, medical devices and cosmetic bill. Okay, see, earlier law that is there to regulate the drugs and cosmetics was passed in 1940. So at that time, Indian pharma industry was, you can say, it was very small. Okay, right now we are among the major world players. आज की डेट में आप world players में आते हो. Okay, so it was very well required that you come out with the new law. ये तो बिल्कुल चाहिए ही था कि आपको नया कानून बनाना है, ठीक है ना. And this is what they are moving ahead with. So in this editorial they are talking about a new law that is to be brought in. So new drugs, medical devices and cosmetic bill, and things will be discussed about it. It will replace the Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940. So when this original act was enacted, Indian pharma industry was very small. So a majorly point was that, like, too much power was given to the inspectors. Okay, drug inspectors, they had this power to go and visit, carry out inspection, etc, etc, etc. And other point that is important is this: whenever we talk about regulation, okay, so somehow in India we have over regulation. So there are existing 37 agencies, they are doing the same job. Okay, they are doing the same job to regulate the drug, you can say, pharmaceutical industry. So you have 37 agencies, including the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Then you have Ministry of Health coming out with some or more instructions. At the state level as well, there are some controllers, okay, to facilitate sampling, testing, prosecution, etc, etc. So the Central Drug Standard Control Authority, its role is limited to the regulation of import and to decide whether the new drug had adequate clinical evidence or not. Okay, this is what this organization is going to do. So you have to note it down for your prelims. You have to note it down for your prelims. Okay, this is what it is going to do. Now the point is this: whenever we talk about regulation, see, regulation is required. Outrightly you cannot allow people to carry out business without any control, without any checks and balances. But drug regulation and the present system, it gives too much discretionary power to the bureaucrat, and as they have power, this is how they may carry out corruption and other activities. Okay, so you have to stop that. You have to stop that. So no doubt the decisions are taken on the scientific basis, but still these loopholes are existing. Okay, these loopholes are existing. So as citizen, we should not be required to run after the regulator begging for information under the RTI. Okay, law should be written in a way to guarantee the proactive disclosure of all crucial documentation related to regulatory decision. So this is how you can say we have to think about these things as well. Over regulation has to be curtailed, because over regulation, if it is there, it will impact the innovation within the industry. आपके यहाँ पे innovation जो है वो impact हो जाएगी. ठीक है ना? We want voluntarily, you can say, people are going to release information कि आपको बाहर से सरकारी पंजा चलाना ही ना पड़े. Okay, voluntarily these particular organizations or companies, they should release the information in public domain. This is how things should be done. The data should be accessible to the public. Whatever tests that are being carried out, those need to be published with the public. That's the point here. Okay, that's the point here that has been mentioned. So we'll move to the next news item, that is outrage over the new national emblem. Okay, so like people were saying that these lions were more aggressive. Okay, now you need to understand one thing, like basically the lions that we have, that is there in our national emblem. Okay, so they are basically taken from the Sarnath pillar. Now you need to understand one thing, Sarnath pillar also has some more features, and those are equally important for us. Okay, so Sarnath pillar has been incorporated as national emblem, and this particular reason was that this pillar basically it epitomized the power, courage and confidence of the free nation. That was the logic behind it. And parallel to that, there are other dimensions of Satyamev Jayate, that is truth alone triumphs. Okay, written below that. Now this Satyamev Jayate, it is taken from Mundaka Upanishad. Okay, written in Devanagari script. This is how our national emblem has been formed. The point is this: it's aggressive or not, that should not be the debate. Okay, वो debate होनी ही नहीं चाहिए थी कि ये aggressive है कि नहीं है. It has already been decided. Okay, it has already been decided. People are putting up their point of view. Other angle is that you have to understand, like Buddha, his teachings, they are associated with the Sarnath pillar. Okay, they are associated with the Sarnath pillar because there are some meanings like lotus. Lotus is a symbol of, you can say, Buddhism, peace. There is a chakra, 24 spokes are mentioned here. And those chakras are part of the national flag as well. So there are some symbolic meanings associated with that. Okay, uh, things are there for us. So this is the important point here. Now Constituent Assembly has accepted a particular, you can say, a form of this particular pillar as our national emblem, and we should have continued with that. वैसा ही आपको कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए था. ओके, सो लाइक दे हैव ट्राई टू चेंज द एक्सप्रेशन, कि एक्सप्रेशन चेंज करने की कोशिश की गई है, and in this way this controversy have erupted. Okay, so we should not have done that in my opinion. What exactly is this trying to portray? ऐसा नहीं है. We are a peace loving nation, land of Buddha, we can't be aggressive here. Okay, that was the point here. So here we have this another news. SKM fumes over MSP panel. So Samyukt Kisan Morcha is saying that this panel that has been formed, majoritarily government appointees are there. ज़्यादातर इस पैनल के अंदर गवर्नमेंट अपॉइंटी हैं, मेजोरिटी ऑफ देम. सो दे सेड दैट हमारी बात तो रखी नहीं जाएगी. सो दे सेड दैट वी विल नॉट बी पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन दिस. ओके, हम इसमें पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करेंगे. अदर देन दैट देर इज़ नथिंग मच, कुछ खास नहीं है यहाँ पे. ओके, सो चाइना स्टेप्स ऑफ LSA एयर ड्रिल्स एज टॉक्स स्टॉल. See, we need to come out with the solution, but we have to be patience. We have to be patient as well. So here dealing with these type of issues, patience is the key. वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. देखते हैं आगे क्या होता है. Other than that there is nothing much. Okay, so कुछ खास नहीं है आगे. So here we have this thing. UK records highest ever temperature. Okay, so I told you about this thing as well, that intensity and the extreme events are going to increase. So if rains are going to be there, the intensity will be really very high. If heat wave is there, the intensity is going to be very large. Okay, this is how things are turning up here. So Putin says progress in Ukraine grain talks. Now, like Putin, Russia is now working on how to facilitate transportation of grain from Ukraine. Okay, so the point is this could be the strategy as well. Now Ukrainian wheat, primarily it was a, you can say, it was consumed primarily by the African countries. Okay, so even this wheat, this also has been a role in geopolitical calculation of Russia. Why I am saying this? Now, if this wheat is not able to reach Ukraine, Russia, or you can say Africa, okay, from Ukraine, African countries will be under stress, and if they will be under stress, there will be refugee migration in Europe. Okay, European countries में refugee migration होगा. सो पुतिन इज ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू यूज दिस एज अ वेपन. इसको भी एज अ वेपन वो यूज करना चाह रहे हैं. ठीक है ना. सो ही इज ट्राइंग टू रेगुलेट, कंट्रोल द थिंग्स. So right now he might be ready to allow the, you can say, transportation of wheat, but we have to see how things will progress. So GST, Punjab, Goa may see most stress here. Okay, so this is the report, National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. They came out with this particular report. So Punjab, the state is already under, you can say, tremendous economic debt. So the more stress may be around the corner. This is what it is about. Okay, so this is what we have in this particular session. That's it for the day. Thank you very much. So I'll take up the doubt. Okay, so Pratik is saying, sir, how by increasing federal banks rates US is able to control inflation? Okay, see, you need to understand one thing. You are asking inflation. Now inflation is primarily one of the reason. I'm saying that one of the reason for that is flow of money in the economy. Okay, What Federal Bank is trying to do? Federal Bank is going to increase the rates. As the rates will be increased, it means that loans are going to be costly. Okay. Now I am saying that this flow of money is one of the reason to have this flow of money, because people have more money in their hand. Okay, more money in their hands, more investment is taking place because loans are cheaper. Okay, लोन सस्ते हैं तो इन्वेस्टमेंट ज़्यादा होगा, फ्लो विल बी मोर इन एन इकोनॉमी. Now here, if it is increasing the interest rate, loans will be costly. As loans will be costly, or you can say installments will be costly, installment भी बढ़ जाएंगी. It means that people, they will have less money in their hand. In their hand they will have less money. As they will have less money in their hand, okay, in this way the flow of money in the system can be stalled. As the flow of the money in the system is regulated, over the time people will not be buying things. They will not be buying things. Right now people have money in their hand. Even if the price is 101, they will pay. Even if the price is 110, they will pay. But here, as the interest rates are increased, people will not have money. So if the price is increasing from 100 to 110, people will not be buying it. People will not be buying it. So the prices have to be reduced. Prices have to be reduced. Now at 110 they will not be buying anything. So it may come down to 102. 102 हो जाएंगी. So in this way, like, the inflation within an economy is controlled. Okay, inflation within an economy is controlled. Now you are asking, but money is going in US market. See, this is what you have to understand. One thing, that is not the cash flow that is going in US market. Okay, that cash flow is not going in the US market. Primarily money is going in the US market means when Federal Bank is going to increase the interest rate. Parallel to that, okay, now interest rates on the loans and all, they are also linked with the bond structure. These are the government bonds. Okay, whenever you buy a government bond, you will get some return. आपको कुछ return मिलता है, and this is the assured return. ये assured return होता है, that okay, 8% is the assured return. You will get the 8% by putting up your money. So what is the outcome? The bond yield is also going to increase. Bond yield is also going to increase. So if earlier the bond yield was 6%, after the increase of interest rate by Federal Bank, the bond yield will be 8%. Okay, the yield on government bond will be 8%. Now it is the risk-free money. It is the risk-free investment. इसके अंदर कोई रिस्क नहीं है, कोई रिस्क नहीं है. ओके, 8% आपको मिलेगा. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? The investors that are there, suppose portfolio investor or foreign institution investors, now they invest in the stock market. India की stock market में पैसा लगाया हुआ होगा इन्होंने. Now they are getting more yield in United States. So what they will do? They will take out their money from the Indian stock market and start buying the government bond in United States. So they are buying bonds. They are buying bonds means the bond has to be bought from the bank. Bond has to be bought from the bank. Okay, so in this way the money circulation will not be there in the market. ये कोई मार्केट में पैसा नहीं घूम रहा है उसके अंदर. आप बॉन्ड खरीद रहे हो, बैंक के पास पैसा गया वो. This is how things are facilitated. And government bonds are bought from central bank. वो आप central bank से लेते हो. Okay, so this is how the whole calculation is. Is it clear now? Is it clear now? प्रतीक, क्लियर हुआ? Is it clear, प्रतीक? Okay, चलिए, thank you very much.